Welcome to the third season of the Ashlars podcast. We are thrilled about our progress and, more importantly, grateful for your support and encouragement. We are going in strong with ever more energy and passion into the third season of our humble little initiative. That is, to show the true light of Freemasonry by being India's first and only podcast on Freemasonry. In this season, we continue to highlight papers by Indian Masons and showcase the wealth of Masonic knowledge and wisdom in India. Additionally, we will also shine some light on various other degrees beyond the craft, with a view to help Masons discover the true joy of being a Mason and expand their horizons. As a disclaimer, the thoughts and opinions expressed here are solely of the participants and do not represent any official positions, including those of any Grand Lords or constituents thereof. Best efforts have been made to keep the conversation on the level for brethren and non-Masons alike.
And to emphasize on that, so obviously all this was started, UGLE was there in 1813, all that started. So what happened to Mark, right? Mark was kept aside, but somewhere down the line, people obviously started joining Mark, and it obviously started flourishing. So there was a Grand Lodge of Mark Master Masons, which got established in 1856 and is currently based in 86 St. James's Street in London. Still says there. It's called, it has a beautiful website called Mark Mason's Hall website. You just search over there and you will find all the other orders which we are going to cover. I'm kind of excited because I'm going to talk about each one of them because I've learned about it, I've read about it, and it's superb. It's simply interesting. Now, coming to what we actually have in India, Grand Lodge of India, right? Grand Lodge of India, when it was formed in 1961, same concept basis on what UGLE had. We kind of continued instead of following the Grand Lodge of Scotland and Grand Lodge of Ireland's format. The reason being, we had more English lodges here than Scottish and Irish. So comparatively, it was more. So obviously, the same concept continued. And we obviously had Grand Lodge of India, which takes care of the craft lodges and also started taking care of the chapters under the Supreme Grand Chapter of India. So it's a different body. Government-wise, it's a different body, but somehow with a very thin line of managing together. Somewhere down the line, some years later, maybe 20, 30 years later, Mark also, by the way, Mark by then until 90s, right? It was still governed by England in India. And it continued being there, and it is still being done in some of the lodges which are there. But there were many more members who were members of Mark, and they said, okay, we would like to obviously have our own. And a Grand Lodge of Mark Master Masons of India was formed, which is again a separate governing body, which takes care of Mark Masonry, Mark Master Masonry, and Royal Arc Mariners. One more degree, which we are going to cover soon. It is a smaller degree, and it's a very interesting concept. Again, not to bore with any administrative pieces, not to worry about it, because you are anyway going to join, and you will not join for the administrative part. You're not joining for the government part. You're joining for the understanding of the degree part. So please, we would love to, you guys, at least the brethren who are interested or not yet joined, please do join to see, and you will learn a lot.
That's quite a lot of dense information, but nevertheless, it's important.
Every time we talk about this, people are like, oh my God, why? I said, exactly, why? Don't worry about it. It's just, so anybody needs some sort of paperwork, right? So this is that paperwork which you just, it's not must have, it's good to have because it helps you somewhere. Anyway, yes.
Not only that, at least you know what you're getting yourself into if you're thinking of, so now that being said, and there's a reason why I said that, I want to bring up a very basic question. Right. And there's a very good document I found online. It says Mark Master Masons Information, and it's by the Provincial Grand Lodge of Mark Master Masons of Warwickshire. So going back down, this has a very interesting set of points. It says 6 reasons why you should become a Mark Master Mason. I'm not going through all the 6, but there are 2 which are really nice. So I'll read them verbatim and then we'll discuss on that. So reason number 1, to discover the true link between the 2nd and 3rd degrees in craft Freemasonry, our enlightened ceremony teaches you as a craftsman invaluable and practical lessons on how to apply them as you conduct yourself through life. You will also gain a clearer understanding of many of the terms, phrases, and characters which have been introduced to you during your journey through craft masonry. So that's reason number one. Let's talk about that a little before we move to the next.
Yes, and this obviously ties up to what we mentioned. Remember, you join as a fellow craft. That's your second degree. And in the third degree, you hear one term, which, by the way, we do not even get to see it in the craft, overseer. Uh, it's in Mark Masonry where you get to understand what these overseers are, who these overseers are. If if you spend time and effort in understanding the history of what Freemasonry is and how those ideas came into being to make this whole stories and the rituals, right? You'll automatically understand it had a lot of concepts from the Bible wherein it was mentioned that, okay, you need to do this, you need to do this. You are an apprentice, you become a fellow craft, you are formed into different groups, and those groups used to have a head, and there were many of them. There were some 3,000, 30,000, and all that numbers are there. That is where this Mark Master Mason concept will become suddenly clear, that it is the true link between the second and third degree. It is an enlightening ceremony because you are automatically talking about doing your work continuously. Karam karo, fal ki apeksha na karo. In Hindi, we have a very interesting line. Bhagavad Gita only and only talks about your duty, your dharma, your work. Bible, when it comes to New Testament, when Jesus gives us so many parables, right? The concept is always about that: be true to yourself, be true to your neighbor, be good to your neighbor, as well as do your work. It's very simple. Love thy neighbor is a very interesting concept. I was talking to a friend of mine about there's so many rules and regulations in the Old Testament, dive, dwells down into one line: love thy neighbor. See, because the moment you and I both do this, between the two of us, animosity is gone, as well as the world is a better place where you and I are staying right now. Let's say you and I are staying right in the same floor. Love thy neighbor, take care of him. He will do the same thing for you. Imagine that floor is better. There are two houses, that floor is better. Similarly, the building gets better. Similarly, the society gets better. Similarly, the area gets better. That's the idea. Same concept is where in Mark Masonry also the concept is keep doing your work. Do not worry about what, oh, this is not that, this is not right. Keep doing a good work, obviously. No, don't do silly work and don't do stupid work at all. Obviously. You as I think Shishir, you mentioned, right? You tend to become better in your work. That's the idea. So keep doing your work. If you feel it can be improvised, improvise it, because that story in Mark Master Mason will talk exactly about that. It might sound very silly. And there is a brother in my Mark Lodge. His name is Shrikar Shivkumar. He had written a beautiful line after he went through that entire degree work on why there was a bit of a confusion, why this actual story is like this, and what exactly happened. Anybody who is a member of this degree and who would like to listen to read that, please reach out to us and I will definitely share it. That is something which you can share in your own Mark Lodge as well, because it kind of showcases how there was a difference in the management, how there was a bit of a confusion in the instructions which were given, or what exactly would have happened, who was at fault and who was not at fault. Beautifully written by my dear brother Shrikar, who, and thank you very much, brother Shrikar, for doing that, because that kind of opened my eyes. In spite of me spending so many years, when you wrote about that and when you did that, right, like, wow, never thought about it. But that's so interesting. And that's exactly what the theme of that entire the degree and the order was.
I'll just add one thing by saying that um, thinking out of the box is also one of the interesting things that comes out. I'll leave it at
Yes.
that.
Yes, yes, exactly, exactly. And it was not like just he was just thinking. He just found something. He said, "Oh, you know what? I'm become better. I have become better. I have done so much. Why don't I try this?" And suddenly, oh, dude, what have you tried? What is wrong with you? So these are the folks who are trendsetters. I'm pretty sure the first time somebody added a bit of cumin in the food or some other additional dish, they're like, dude, what is wrong with you? This is the
Uh,
dish. Why did you do this?
let me add a controversial thing. Someone thought of adding pineapple to pizza. So yeah,
It
there's a market for
backfires.
that too, I guess.
Some of them backfires, but some of them obviously works out wonders in that. Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
it
That's the
can be
first time
polarizing.
pepperoni was added.
It can be
Exactly.
polarizing, but yeah.
Exactly, exactly. I think Shishir, we can go to the next one, which
Yeah,
is there in that same.
yeah. I'll move to the third one. This one's a bit long. Okay. To help you better understand the Holy Royal Arch, one of the consequences of the 1813 union between the ancients and moderns in England was the specific recognition of the three craft degrees only, including the Holy Royal Arch, thus excluding the Mark degree. As a result of this, a craft mason who joins other orders before the Mark degree may be confused by their symbolism. Our degree aids your understanding by adding essential background to the history of the construction of the temple, the importance of the keystone, and the work of the overseers. Interestingly, in other recognized constitutions, the Mark degree can be conferred in either craft lodges or royal arch chapters, and indeed is an essential prerequisite before exaltation into a chapter can take place. It is a bridge to other orders in masonry, and that's an important point. It's a bridge. Dinesh, you want to add
Bridge.
to this?
Now, I think what you have done, right, Shishir, it kind of brings down all the points which we have been talking about. When that whole union happened, obviously they kept Mark aside. Then suddenly it gets confusing. I remember when my journey in Freemasonry, I joined Craft, I joined Chapter, then I joined Mark. And when I was standing in Mark, I was like, I was hoping that story would have gone somewhere, but this suddenly goes back again. And then when I started reading more, I realized that Mark would have been much better. And again, this is my personal opinion. Mark would have been much better if I would have joined after Craft and before Chapter. It automatically makes sense suddenly. Again, no harm in that way, because just because I read the fifth chapter first and the third chapter afterwards doesn't change. Because once you know that chapter, you can then flip the pages. That's absolutely fine. Yeah, I know. It's like a memento movie. It's like that memento movie, right? Like I have to keep on, oh my goodness, which line is going, which is the black and white version is going, the color version is going. All that will definitely be there. Sorry for all the colorblind folks, unfortunately, in that. God only knows how did they manage that movie. But but knowing this, right? When you come to know about it, you suddenly build into that. And then I got to learn about the Mark Masonry, which is followed in the Scottish chapter as well as the Irish chapter. And I was like, dude, beautiful. This not only just enhanced that story, it enhanced my understanding of my own chapter and my own the mark degree which I went through. It automatically enhanced it. And that's when I think Shishir, I told, right? Nothing should stop you from learning. You want to learn, pick up that book, learn. I love that line which I saw in Three Idiots, and again I think I said that in the earlier episode as well. For knowledge, you do not need to go to school. You only need a uniform. This is what Amir Khan's character says that to and the millimeter, and he tells
This,
that boy,
mm,
that small boy, what is it? Take some money, go buy a uniform, go and sit inside. Anyway, there is such a population, one person sitting inside, who's going to come to know? I know it's difficult,
he
but
adds to it.
possible.
He adds to it
That's
also by saying that I don't know if this was in reference to the school or it was in reference to the college that these characters were in. But his basic point was that there is knowledge being shared in all the different classes, right?
exactly.
There's some in mechanical, some in electronics, some in whatever, right? If you're interested in a particular topic and your chosen stream of engineering doesn't have it, maybe you're chosen mechanical, but you want to learn something specific about electronic which is not there, go sit in the electronics class and get it. It's knowledge. You want to learn about it, go and just get it. So again, no one should stop you from seeking knowledge, from seeking light. Uh, and I was just having a conversation with another one brother some time back, and I gave this line. It just came out of the blue in my mind. I told him that uh, the light cannot be hidden; it can be masked, but those who seek the light need not don't have to see the light. They can feel its warmth, one way or the other. One way or the other, because you can hide from the sun, but you can't hide from his radiation, so to speak.
Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. That's exactly what this is. So that is exactly what would have happened. They would nicely kept it away, but people still wanted it, joined it, and that's how it became a the grand body. It became a body of its own in 1856. And that's when you and I are able to actually be members. We are able to learn about it. I have a book on this. Tell me more about Mark Degree. Sorry. Tell me more about Mark Degree by Reverend Neville Barker Cryer. And this one again adds on so much of those values, right? Like what it used to be, what it is, and how it has gone. And it showcases that transformation, the change of what exactly the degree and the order would have gone through. It also talks about the concepts which actually it explains, right? Getting your wages, making a mark, who are these overseers, as you mentioned, right? All these concepts just adds on to that value. Learn it. Nobody can stop you. Nobody should stop you. Nobody is allowed to stop
To stop
a
you.
flowing river.
And come to think of it, like if you just going by some of these things that we discussed in this one short episode, right? It's clear that this degree was treated in a certain way, but then people came together, right?
Mm,
People from different ways of thinking came together and decided, hey, you know what, this degree makes sense, and let's formalize it in a certain way. And that
exactly.
now is in the way that we are following it, right? What does that teach us? Number one, again, people were seeking knowledge. They wanted to find a way to get that knowledge. They put a structure to it. Second, there was no thought that, oh, this is different. I don't recognize this. I don't agree with it. No, it was just the point of, okay, what is the common ground? Additional knowledge. How do we formalize it? How do we structure it? And how do we make it accessible to people? And thus we have the Mark degree.
That's
All right. I think that comes pretty close to what all we wanted to discuss. And I think overall, I hope you guys are enjoying this. Do keep sending us any messages or feedback. And of course,
keep sharing.
keep sharing.
Keep sharing it. Yeah, keep sharing it, because the more people know about it, the more people will seek for it. See, there are, as you said, right, Shishir, I think you said about it that you cannot hide light. You will get that warmth, but sometimes if you're way, way, way far, you might not even get to know about it. So that's when this sharing might actually help you about. Talk about it.
Yeah, be
Whom do you
vocal.
talk about it? You're not talking about it in the middle of a street. You're talking about it among your brethren.
Yeah,
And you're not asking them to join. You're not telling them. I said, Mark Degree talks about this. Interested? Read. And that person, when he reads, he will come up and say, I would like to learn more. And that's where that person is able to join, because he has to decide on that.
yeah,
Nobody else can tell him that, oh, you need to do this, you need to do this. No, 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 no. Please, let's first of all stop giving dictation, giving this kind of, what do you call, guidelines that, oh, you need to do this. No, please, that's it. Freemasonry is a voluntary organization. It needs to be
of
voluntary and it has to stay voluntary.
your
And
own
that
free will
actually
and
means
accord.
of my own free will and accord. That means if I want to, I will. If I don't want to, I won't. Nobody should allow us to be pushed around.
Completely agree. And that's the kind of high note I want to close this episode on as well. So, folks, stay strong. Do what you will, from being a good person to become a better person, and ultimately the best citizen for the world, for your country, for your community. So, with that, thank you, folks. Bye bye.
Bye.
That's all, folks. We sincerely hope that you liked our episode and got a glimpse into the fascinating world of Freemasonry. If you have any queries about what we have shared on the podcast or about Freemasonry in general, please check out the show notes for links to the Grand Lodge of India's website, or write us an email, which is the ashlarspodcast@gmail.com.